What is up, everybody? Back with another top 10 here today. And as you can see, I'm joined by a very special guest, Mr. Wyattxhim. Wyatt, thanks a lot for coming on, man. How's it going?
Thank you for inviting me. It's always fun and interesting to do stuff like this. 2005. This is really difficult because I never realized how much stuff I listened to that never, or bands and artists that never really released anything during this year. So it was quite the difficult top 10 for me.
Yeah, so like going back to 2005, I think you're about my age, right? You're 20, mid 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that's around when I started getting really into rock and metal myself. I don't know if was that about for you too?
Oh God, I don't like thinking about that time because I think all I did was just I hid in my room and just played video games all the time. Like music to me was what my dad listened to. So, and he would listen to Depeche Mode, U2, Elvis. Those are like the first three to come to mind. So that was like my knowledge as far as it goes.
Nice. For me, it was like he was into the big like 80s glam metal type stuff. So like Molly Crew, Rat, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But cool. So as usual, we're just gonna go back and forth, counting them down. And without further ado, Wyatt's gonna kick us off with his number 10.
For number 10, as you stated, it had to be metal and rock.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, number 10 is, as you would guess, it's going to be mostly extreme metal, but it's not all just extreme metal. But number 10 is Circle of Dead Children with Zero Comfort Margin. And as ridiculous as that band name is, because I remember discovering these guys in high school just because of how ridiculous and messed up the band name is overall. It's like really well put together death grind. It's not just endless blast beats. I'm going to scream, make noise, and it ends. Like there's actually like, for death grind standards anyway, like compositional work within these guys, and it's like genuinely dark for the style. It's not just mindless noise. And Zero Comfort Margin, I would say, like anything else by this band, is just really morbid. And it's just something really enticing for extreme music, and definitely always been a standout for me within the style.
Awesome. Cool. So my number 10, I'm going to go with Tales from the Strip by LA Guns. So LA Guns is one of I've done a top 10 glam metal bands list before. They were like number 3 for me. So I like most of this band's stuff. And this one has Phil Lewis on vocals and no Tracy Guns. There's like a debate. They got 2 bands right now. One is the drummers, LA Guns, and all this different stuff. But whenever Phil is there, I think it's great. Even though this was released in 2005, it's got a really great 80s feel to it. So I really dig that. Just that atmosphere, really sleazy, hard rock, metal, whatever you want to call it. But it don't mean nothing. First song on the album is fantastic, and top to bottom, pretty consistent. So had to make my list here at number 10.
Definitely have to check that out. I mean, again, when it comes to glam rock and metal, I'm very out of the loop with a lot of it.
Okay.
But now on to number 9. Again, keeping it going with more extreme is going to be Hate Forest Sorrow. If you don't know Hate Forest, it's kind of like when it comes to Ukrainian black metal, these guys are like the heavy hitters for a lot of people. And though Hate Forest doesn't really change anything with their songwriting, like Sorrow from everything before and after it within their discography is really identical in songwriting. It's just reliable. And that's the thing that why Hate Forest is just so respected. If you check out Hate Forest, you're going to get reliable, strong, just aggressive, bleak black metal. And not like bleak in the sense of like it's really raw and dismal, but like just strong. And Hate Forest, again, as I stated, just really reliable.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't listened to a ton of Ukrainian black metal bands, but I know I did have 2 on my top 10 of 2020. It was like Severoth and I think Cold or Core. It was Core, it's not Cold. But yeah, some really good stuff coming out of there for sure. And my number 9, I'm going to go over to Norway with some more black metal, 1349, Hellfire. Now, these guys are actually, I've said this multiple times, it's like my favorite concert I've ever seen live. Just super aggressive, heavy, evil sounding black metal. Some favorite songs on it. I would probably go looking at this: Sculptor of Flesh, I'm Abomination, Nathakana. But really good stuff. Love Frost. His playing with 1349 and Satyricon, one of my favorite drummers. But overall, I think this is either this one or their newest album. Those are definitely my favorites by them. So that's there at number 9 for me, Hellfire.
Nice. I mean, I've seen 1349 1349 live once, and they are definitely fun to see overall. But yeah,
Mm,
really reliable, especially the first two albums, I would agree, are pretty good.
for sure.
As for number 8, this might be kind of like a meh for a lot of people because it's a big name for metal, but like in high school, I really did like these guys a lot. Number 8 for me is Gojira's From Mars to Sirius or Cyrus, I think is the name of it. Again, it's weird because I don't really like groove metal and I don't really care for progressive types of music, but Gojira, something about their just really straightforward, kind of like more progressive take on Pantera. Something about it just really resonated with me in high school. Maybe again because I used to listen to Pantera a lot because my cousin was obsessed with them again in high school. But what's the song? Flying Whales. I always thought was really interesting, and Backbone is really heavy for them. Heaviest Matter in the Universe is another fun track. It's just more of like a fond memory to me, looking back on things as to why I really enjoy this particular band and album as to why it even ranked number 8 within my list.
Cool. Nice. So with me, number 8, I'm going to go over to Sweden with a kind of underground band. They're called Sfartzen. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing that right. It's Svartsyn. It's primarily a one-man group led by a guy named Ornius, and it's mainly like thrashy, aggressive, really muddy guitar tone, that type of black metal. This guy's voice is one of the best and most evil sounding in the whole genre, for me at least. But and actually at this point, the drummer was a guy named Dragon, who played drums on the first EP with Dark Funeral. So some kind of notable stuff there. And the album's called Bloodline. I don't even think I said that yet, but really good stuff. Vampiric Sleep is really cool. Witch's Dance, Terror Demon, some of the song names that were some of my favorites, but really good album, good consistent band, one of my favorites, and they're here at number 8 for me, Bloodline.
Never heard of them. Huh. I mean,
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Check them out later. All right, at number 7, I feel like this is one you would agree with me on. For me, number 7 would be Manila Road's Gates of Fire. What really impresses me about Manila Road overall, with the limited knowledge I have of traditional heavy metal, is it seems like for a lot of bands that formed in the 80s, at some their songwriting. Yeah, what Manila Road is really interesting about them is like every decade, even during the change of the millennia, it's still insanely solid. Like they really don't have like a dismally bad album or a certain era where it was like a low end for them. Like the songwriting and quality is always like at least good. And I mean, sure, you could argue that some albums like Crystal Logic and oh my god, what's the one right after it starts with an M? Manifest. Oh my god damn it, I have it. I can't even think of it right now. It's like right before or after Crystal Logic.
Yeah, I wish I could help. I've never gotten super into Manila Road personally. I do like some of their stuff, but
wow, I'm surprised considering how much fan you are of like traditional heavy metal. Wow.
I don't love the vocals, but the music is good.
Yeah, I get that because the joke about like him sounding like Skeletor or whatever. I don't know. It's just something about Manila Road. Just overall, the fact that their consistency is what really impresses me. And Gates of Fire came out obviously in 2005, and wow, the additional vocalist they have, I don't know his name. He kind of adds like this really like epic and spiritual like background narrative during the some of the breaking not kind of like the interlude parts within the album. Just overall, Manila Road is always interesting, and Gates of Fire is definitely not my need to get, and just overall another solid addition within their discography.
Awesome. Cool. So my number 7, I'm going to go over to Germany with the band Holy Moses, the album Strength, Power, Will, Passion. So this band is really pretty extreme thrash metal. I think death metal fans would probably like it, especially for the vocals. Sabina Klassen. It is a girl, but she was really like the first one in the mid 80s to be singing in like a super harsh guttural style. And it's just like really heavy, aggressive thrash. Like I said, I've got a patch. It's not a CD, but for when I eventually get a vest, I'm going to put that on there. And a guy named Michael Hankel. This was their first album with him on guitar. He was previously in a late 80s, early 90s kind of obscure German thrash band called Erosion. Really good guitar player. So I like his addition to the band. Looking at some of these songs, I would probably go with Angel Cry as my favorite, but End of Time, Examination, Sacred Crystals, some other really good standouts on the album, and love most of this band's stuff. And this one is a really solid album as well. Strength, Power, Will, Passion.
Interesting. For number 6, finally, this is one that I actually own on a physical media. But for number 6, I chose Rites of Thy Degringolade, an ode to sin. It's a mixture of black metal and death metal, and not like the super crazy war metal type of style that most bands kind of blend them with. This is kind of like actual elements of black metal and actual moments of death metal separate from each other, because there's one song on here, I believe it's on side B, Totality's Regime, that it's like straight up death metal that sounds like something that Obituary would do, and then it kind of like fizzles out into like, you know, the raw aggression of black metal. It's just overall an ass-kicking album that you would want within, you know, extreme metal, and that's really it. And sometimes the simplistic approach of just doing simplistic black metal and simplistic death metal really just speaks volumes. And ever since this album after it, they've done a follow-up, which is pretty boring in my personal view. But if you want to get into Rites of Thy Degringolade, an ode to sin, it's such a fun album to listen to.
Cool. I'll have to check that out. I've never heard of it. But all right, so number 6, I'm going to go over to Canada with this one. Annihilator, the album Schizo Deluxe. Now, Annihilator, I've said I rank them probably at this point either my second or third favorite thrash band of all time. I just love Jeff Waters' guitar playing, and I think it's extremely unfair when people label them as just like a 2-album wonder type of thing, because a lot of people, when they talk about Annihilator, they're just like, yeah, just the first 2 albums are classic, then after that they suck. But I completely disagree. They've had a lot of vocal changes. I think that might be part of the problem. Like, they had a different singer on each of the first 4 albums, and then another guy that came along, which is on this album. His name's Dave Padden. Not the greatest vocals, but overall, when Jeff Waters is there, he is one of my favorite shredders. Just so clean and smooth with his playing. The riffs are amazing. The melodies are awesome. Maximum Satan, Drive, Plasma Zombie, some standouts on here. But just another really good album from Annihilator. Schizo Deluxe, my number 6.
I'll have to check that out, because again, I know when I see Annihilator, people always, as you say, always bring up the first 2. And I remember like kind of going through their discography and just seeing like the laundry list of all the lineup changes. And I think that kind of turns people off when you're trying to find a specific sound, and then you just see like, I think I saw like a few dozen like different individuals in that band that came in and out within that band. It's just nuts.
Literally, yeah. I think there's like 5 or 6 different singers. It's crazy, but yeah.
All right. For number 5, I chose a very weird extreme metal band, but I've always been fond of their style. Again, number 5 is Diapsacor with Virus STN. The French, I guess, black metal, but it's really not, but they're labeled it like avant-garde, experimental. Like, all I know is, like, I've always joked around with this, but it's true. They are the musical equivalent of heroin. Like, this is just not stuff you make up sober. It is so fucking weird, everything that they do. And this, I would say, within the discography of Diapsacor, is probably at least the most, I guess, the heaviest, because it's the most bass, like heavy, just really heavy with the bass drum within this album. They do a bit more screaming, but it is just like, you can feel your mind just deteriorate listening to them. And it's just an experience of a band. Not for everyone. I don't expect people to listen to this and be like, wow, that was some good stuff. It's just really something that leaves a really lasting impression, even if it's just very weird. I'll just leave it at that. It's just always stood out to me, this band.
Awesome. Sounds interesting for sure. But all right, so my number 5, I'm going to go with the album Pariah by Nagafar. Now, this is the Swedish Nagafar. I believe there's like a German Nagafar as well, I think. No? I don't even know. But
names like that, especially in the Scandinavian countries, they share a lot of names.
Yeah, but Nagafar is one of my favorite Swedish black metal bands for sure. Just really good melodic stuff here. Really, their album Diabolical from '98 is one of my, I previously listed like a long time ago in my top 10 black metal albums. But at this point, this one is definitely one of my favorites. It was the first with trying to get this guy's name right. Christopher Olivius. He switched from bass to vocals, and he's been their singer since. But I think he's got a good voice. In black metal, I like, the higher pitched screams and stuff, which I think this guy has kind of a higher voice like that. And A Swarm of Plague, Spoken Words of Venom, some standouts on the album, but just really good. It's nothing groundbreaking, but just good, solid melodic black metal that I dig quite a bit. Really good production, great riffs. So pretty high up here for me at number 5. Pariah.
I definitely agree. When it comes to melody, the Swedish black metal scene is definitely like one of the most reliable, especially if you're just looking for melody. But then,
for sure.
For number 4, this is kind of a cheat because some consider it a full length, others consider it an EP. But I just overall really like this, and you can say it's in the middle. But regardless, at number 4 for me, it's going to be Decibel Omega's Kenosis, which a lot of people kind of argue that I know before this album was C Monumentum something something. It's weird how it's pronounced, but this they feel like as if it's like the real like executed correctly Decibel Omega, where you get that crazy like whirlwind riffs that they're known for. And Kenosis is kind of like, I would definitely say it's their most chaotic release, that if you're just looking for that adrenaline rush within Decibel Omega without all the experimental detours that they do with the albums after it, definitely check out Kenosis. But again, this might be a cheat because on Metal Archives it says it's an EP. Some people consider it a full length, but regardless, it's just another stellar addition within the very solid and incredible discography of Decibel Omega.
Nice. Yeah, I've been meaning to check them out. I know I've seen you talk about them, and I think Quest for Metal has mentioned them in a few videos. I need to go through their stuff.
I would definitely say for like, if you want to get the idea of avant-garde black metal, which I know it's like a mouthful to say, and you think there's all different odds and ends with it, that's like there's a reason why they're considered like the most reliable. From everything they did from 2004, which again is like C Monumentum, C whatever, to really to today, it's all awesome. But if you want to get like, just the really aggressive stuff, check out the EP called Drought. For a lot of people, they say that's the best just because it's really the most like aggressive sounding.
Cool. I'll definitely have to do that. But okay, so my number 4, I'm going to go with a one-man atmospheric black metal band called Fear of Eternity. The guy's name's Andrea Telleni. He's from Italy, and the album is called Toward the Castle. It's the full-length debut there. Really good stuff here. It's not very guitar-heavy. It's more of like keyboards and bells and all that different stuff with atmospheric black metal, some piano, like straightforward piano. It sounds, I've heard you say this before, like when people that aren't fans of black metal think of black metal, they just think of this just all the time, brutal, just evil stuff. But a lot of times it's beautiful. And that's especially here, like just on this, it's really good atmospheric stuff. Some standouts, Flying Over the Mountain, the song Fear of Eternity, the title track, Melancholy Rain. I dig it quite a bit. Are you familiar with this project?
No, I'm surprisingly not. But when you say keyboards, it definitely interests me because I know for a lot of people, when you hear keyboards in black metal, they think it's just going to be all poppy, gleamy, glossy crap. Because I think what's wrong with it is people just think of Kara Hungren or later era Cradle of Filth, that it's just not later era, but like the middle era where they became like
Cradle of Filth. I love them.
In the mid 2000s, a lot of people say Cradle of Filth like plummeted with quality. So that's when like people argue it. Or again, Dimmy Borgir is another one. They think of that type of stuff where it's just really almost like radio friendly black metal because of it. But if you can do it in a way that like really adds to the atmosphere, makes it very soaring and epic, like again, like how Emperor kind of like laid out the blueprints for a lot of bands, it can be really incredible. So yeah. I've been more open to the idea with keyboards and black metal.
Yeah, of course. And that's perfectly just like soaring epic keyboard work on here. The melodies are fantastic with that. And just really, really cool band that I think you'd like them for sure. Fear of Eternity.
All right.
So, cool.
Because we're just sidetracking a bit. What I've noticed about extreme metal, if we're just looking at this timeline of 2005, which I've noticed, is a lot of stuff I'm just not familiar with, because it seemed like for a lot of people, they argue that around the turn of the millennia, like a lot of extreme metal just kind of existed, but wasn't really like catching the ears of a lot of people. Like really the only bands that were catching ears were like the well-established one from the decade previous. And a lot of people argue that the experimental stuff started blowing up. Like again, Deathspell Omega, and the next band actually that I'm going to be talking about that comes in at number 3. For me, number 3, which is like the OGs of like Japanese black metal, and they're also avant-garde, is Psy with Gallows Gallery. Holy hell, this album is such a work of art for black metal. Like when you listen to it, you know, you'll be saying, all right, it's a black metal band, but when you're done, you'll be like, what exactly even is this now? And it's not like loopy, dumb, kind of like, you know, pretentious stuff. Like it's very engaging, but there's like saxophones, keyboards. It feels like there's a marching band playing with like blast beats and black metal screams. It is so incredible, and I need to own this album. It bums me out I don't own it, but Psy Gallows Gallery is easily their best album, and probably one of the funnest avant-garde black metal albums you can listen to.
Nice. Well, I've listened to them some in the past. I need to go back to them. It's been a while, but yeah, I'll have to check that one out for sure. Do what?
Which one did you?
I think it was their most. I think it was their most recent album when I was like trying to get my end of the year list ready. Like they had one come out like last year or the year before. I don't know if I went back to anything other than that, but it was pretty good. I need to go back to the classic stuff though.
That stuff's all right, but I'm telling you, Gallows Gallery, dude, it literally sounds like a marching band with blast beats. It's so incredible.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like it's going to be cool, but I'll have to check that out for sure. So my number 3, I'm going to go with the album WW by the band Gehenna, another band from Norway here. And I love these guys. You know, they've changed their style a lot over the years. Like originally they were kind of symphonic, really like they're one of my favorites. Like on the first Spell EP in 94, it's kind of symphonic keyboard type stuff, but it sounds super evil and dark, just the atmosphere. And eventually they got some more of just like straightforward black metal. And then they went to death metal on an album. And then they went back to the roots here with just classic black metal. And this one too has Frost. He came in to do the session drumming on it. So just freaking heavy, brutal drumming, mind-blowing stuff from that guy. But Grenade Prayer, super heavy, Death to Them All, New Blood. It's kind of thrashy in moments, just really heavy, straightforward black metal that I think is pretty awesome. So it's here at number 3 for me, WW.
Nice. All right, number 2, I feel like this is like the ultimate Bathory worship band. At number 2 is going to be Macabre Omen's The Ancient Returns. There's a lot of bands out there, obviously, that take influence from Bathory, try to capture Forthon's style. But if there is one that stands above the rest, that really like just carries on the spirit, attitude, and just overall songwriting of Forthon, it's Alexandros. I believe that's his stage name. Macabre Omen, The Ancient Returns. This album is just so insanely epic. It is the equivalent to just watching a battle of gladiators going off. Like I feel like if gladiators in ancient Roman times could listen to black metal, it would be Macabre Omen. But yeah, if you're a Bathory fan, you'll absolutely be drooling over this.
And that's like a blend of the epic like Viking metal and black metal, or is it just like more of the 80s classic they did?
More like the epic black metal style. In some cases, you could argue like Viking moments here and there, but for the most part, it's like the epic style of black metal that, again, really similar to that of like late 80s Bathory era stuff.
Okay, like Blood, Fire, Death.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. Nice. So my number 2, I'm going to go with Those Once Loyal by Bolt Thrower. Last album they did. I mean, Bolt Thrower, it's freaking Bolt Thrower. Heavy ass riffs, good production, good vocals. The bass playing's cool. I like the double bass kick, drumming. You know, with like extreme metal, I don't like it when it's just like super fast blast beats the whole time. There's more of like a mid pace to a lot of Bolt Thrower stuff that I like a lot. Yep. And this album just really cool, heavy, great riffs. Just the riffs with Bolt Thrower are ridiculous. But Entrenched, the Kill Chain title track, When Cannons Fade, some of the standout tracks I wrote down. Just really solid album. Both are those ones low.
I know with me, Bolt Thrower, that is the death metal band I have put off for so long. And there was like, maybe it's the albums I've checked out that, who's the vocalist? It's like Martin Van Buren something. Wasn't he like, I know he's the vocalist of Aspects.
Carl Willits is
No, not, I know, because there was like
a guy before him.
Yeah, the guy before him, I know it's like Martin Van Buren, something like from Aspects or something. I never really cared for his vocals all that much because it's like a really like dry death thrash by the numbers vocals. I've never cared for his style, and I think those are the albums that when he was on Bolt Thrower that I checked out, I wasn't crazy for. But I definitely need to give them a chance because they're always like, you know, a worshipped death metal band.
Yeah, for sure. I think you should go back to him. Yeah.
And I mean, what's the deal? Also, I know I'm sidetracking with their merchandise. Like, it's always so bootleg, it's impossible to get.
I don't know.
No, I've just heard like all the stories, like their bootleg merchandise goes for like ridiculous money. But that's my knowledge without Bolt Thrower anyway. But all right, now on to number one. Number one shouldn't surprise anyone if you're looking at my username. But number one is him, Dark Light. This was an obvious pick for me because I've always been a fan of him. I know they kind of blend metal in some cases, but they're more like, on this album anyway, more of like the alternative rock sound. And this is where they really, I would say, at least peaked in the mainstream in some cases. And I know people argue that, oh, the band Margera made him big, but the overall songwriting is just so infectious. Songs on here like Vampire Heart, Wings of a Butterfly, Killing Loneliness. Like, this album is awesome. I love this album. It's an album that honestly at times I think, man, I should bite the bullet, spend $250 on Discogs and just get the damn vinyl already. But this was just an easy pick for me.
Cool. Nice. So for me, I'm going to go back over to Sweden with some more melodic black metal. Lord Belial, Nocturnal Beast. So this album, compared to like in the late 90s with like Unholy Crusade and Enter the Moonlight Gate, they were a bit more aggressive, kind of thrashy in moments, and as well as Angel Grinder from O2. But here, it's just super epic, amazing melodic black metal, just the guitar melodies, the riffs, the solos, the production is great. Just love the overall sound. And looking at some of these songs, Demonic Possession, Desolate Passage is amazing, Nocturnus, and I really love the guy's vocals. He goes by the name Thomas Backlund. And then they had Hjalmar Nielsen on guitar on this album, the one previous to it, only two with him. But I think he added some really good stuff with the band, and just really cool album that I dig a lot. That's my number one for 05, Nocturnal Beast.
Nocturnal Beast. I'll have to write that down right
now. Yeah, Lord Belial, they're one of my favorites for sure in black metal. I think they were at I did a top 10 black metal bands list a while back, and they were like number 7 for me. So I dig most of their stuff. And did you have any honorable mentions you wanted to run through?
No, not that I'm aware of. I would just say overall, from what I've seen from your taste and seen from your videos, out of everything in my list, the one that I feel really comfortable that you would really like again is Macabre Omens, The Ancient Returns.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. And for me, some honorable mentions. Like I told you before, we were talking before the recording started. When I first looked at 2005, I was like, I might be able to get 10 pretty good ones. But I went through the stuff and I had a lot. So I'll just run through a couple that were up close. Shovel-Headed Kill Machine by Exodus for sure could definitely alternate in for me. Really good stuff. Angel of Retribution by Judas Priest, which was their comeback album with Rob Halford. After it was their first one with him since Painkiller. So that's really good return to form for them. The Dark Funeral album from that year. Ultimate Unholy Death by the band Abigail, which is a really cool Japanese black thrash.
They're pretty fun.
Yeah, it's the same guy from Barbados, which is another pretty cool. They had an album that year as well. The Sargeist album, Disciple of the Heinous Path. Horna, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of that album, but the Horna album from 2005, it's yeah, their language, I can't freaking pronounce it at all. But yeah, Overkill had an album that was good. Enemy of God, Creator. There's a lot of good stuff. But yeah, so that was really cool. Wyatt, thanks a lot for coming on, man.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It was fun.
Yeah, of course. And everybody watching, let us know what you thought of our lists. Give us yours in the comments. And until next time, thank you for watching.